Hi guys, I thought I'd try something different this week. Instead of writing it all up on the blog, I thought I would go for a bit of a video and just try and change it up and see what people's thoughts are, and see if I think this goes well, to be perfectly honest. So bear with me and we'll see how it goes. We'll start on the first game, which is Cleveland at Baltimore. This game to me is quite an interesting one because obviously the Browns offense is struggling and the Baltimore defense is pretty legit, as it is every year. But I'm going for OBJ anytime touchdown at 6-4, and that's with red zone, and that's going to be for 2 points. The Ravens got burned a couple of times last week against the Chiefs, as kind of you'd really expect. The Ravens D isn't as good as it has been. It's still very, very good though. They've allowed the fifth most yards to wide receivers so far this year with 649. A lot of that will be for last week with the Chiefs and Mahomes. And my thinking behind this is they can be burnt deep. OBJ is a special talent who can basically turn something into something out of nothing. So yeah, I'm going for 6-4 OBJ, 2 points with red zone. Right, on to Kansas City at Detroit on Sunday. First, I've got two bets in this game. The first bet is Mecole Hardman at 15-8 with Corals, and that's going to be for 1.5 points. In brutal honesty, you've got to have a piece of the Kansas City Chiefs offense, led by Patrick Mahomes, as we all know, and they're just unbelievable. Looking at the prices for each of the wide receivers, Mecole Hardman is a bigger price than Sammy Watkins and a bigger price than Robinson, and obviously a bigger price than Lee. And he's slowly been kind of eased into this offense with 2 touchdowns in his last 2 games, which is promising from the rookie wide receiver. So for me, I want a piece, as I said, of this offense. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I don't think, as we saw with the Ravens, not many defenses are going to be able to stop this Chiefs offense. So Hardman at 15-8 for 1.5 points is one of the best. The second one is TJ Hockenson for the Lions at 16-5. That's with Corals, and that'll be for 1 point. Interesting about the Chiefs' defense is they've allowed at least 7 receptions to tight ends in each of their games so far this season. Hockenson had a great game in his first game as a starter in the NFL, with a touchdown, and he wasn't great. He dropped a couple, and in the last couple of days he's dropped a couple in the end zone as well. So he is a red zone target for Stafford, and with the Chiefs going to be putting up so many points, I suspect the Detroit Lions are going to have to try and do as much as they can to get points on the board as well. So I think you're going to see more throwing than running Lions, and Hockenson is going to be a kind of, as I said, an end zone threat. Jack, one of my co-hosts on the Kicks Matter podcast, was massively high on him, and let's see if he can fulfill his promise from college into the NFL and get his second touchdown of the season. Right, the next game is the Carolina Panthers at the Houston Texans, and I'm betting this, and it's going to be a wide receiver which I like quite a lot, and that's Kenny Stills. The price is quite nice at 4-1 with Betfair, and that's going to be for 1 point. Stills has kind of been emerging as a kind of, I would say, joint wide receiver two in Houston with Will Fuller. Last week he had 6 targets and Fuller had 7. QT interestingly had 0 targets. Yeah, he was potentially coming off where he was coming back from an injury, but I think Stills, as the season progresses, is going to be kind of, he's never going to be the wide receiver one there ever. No one else apart from Nukies, but Kenny Stills has a good path to become the wide receiver too. He's got a great skill set. He's got good speed. He can play every wide receiver position really. He can play in the slot. He can play out wide. He knows exactly what he's doing, and I think it was a good acquisition by the Texans. Running game isn't really there. Boss Hyde hasn't been doing much. Duke Johnson is kind of become an afterthought after his trade, which is interesting because I thought that they would use him and utilise him more. But this Texans team is a passing offence. Deshaun Watson bringing the ball around. He's an unbelievable quarterback. My QB1 this year, if I'm brutally honest. 4-1 for Kenny Stills is fair, and it's the price of Will Fuller. So for me, they've much got a very similar chance to score a touchdown. But if I'm going to have a bet on this, it's going to be with Stills pretty much at double the price of 4-1 with Betfair. Let's move on to the LA Chargers visiting the Miami Dolphins, the tie that they are. I've got one bet in this, and it's not a Georgia. It's a Miami Dolphin wide receiver. It's Preston Williams. He's 9-2 with Betfair, and that will be for 1 point for me. He's the wide receiver there. You've got Parker on the other side. He's Devontae Parker. He's trash. Targets last week and for Williams, and it was a pretty awful drop in the end zone from a lovely pass from Josh Rosen, if we're brutally honest. If you haven't seen it, go and YouTube it or go and watch the highlights. Jesus Christ, my cat could have caught that. But apart from that, he's been fairly solid for a rookie anyway. I see this more as the Chargers are going to be up a fair bit. Pretty much anything going against the Dolphins this season is probably going to be doing the same. And I think it's more likely than not it's going to be more of a garbage time touchdown. So Chargers up by 20, 25, 28 points going into the fourth quarter, and I'm just hoping that Rosen flings the ball around and Williams sees maybe 12 targets again and gets on the end one of them in the end zone. At 9-2, I'm willing to take the punt on this. It's definitely not a big a cert of a bet is definitely going to land or anything like that. But as I said, at 9-2, I'm going to take that chance on their best receiving threat, who's looked fairly promising through the first couple of games of the season. New England Patriots visit the Buffalo Bills. One touchdown bet for me in this one, and it's not a Patriot as you might have thought. It's on the Buffalo Bills side, and it's their quarterback Josh Allen. He's 15-8 with Betfred. That's going to be 1 point bet for me. For me, Josh Allen needs to be Josh Allen in this game if the Bills have got a chance. He's got to be using his legs all over the place because this Patriots D is brilliant, and it's probably the best Patriots defense in a while that we've seen. So I don't think they've even given up a touchdown pass so far this season. So Josh Allen's going to struggle, and most teams probably will the way the Patriots are playing. So for me, Josh Allen has got to use his legs and run around like an absolute madman here, which I think he will do because I think the Patriots D-line is closing down on him. So I think touchdown is a very good chance for him this week. He's already had 2 rushing touchdowns so far this season, and we saw last year that he can use his legs and he can be dynamic with it. So that's where I'm coming from this. I thought about John Brown, but how the Patriots DBs are playing and haven't allowed a touchdown pass yet. Then for me, it was a no-go. 15-8. If I'm honest, I thought it might be a tiny bit skinnier than that. So 15-8, I'm happy to take a chance on. The Patriots should win this game, but I'm kind of hoping the Bills do because I think the Bills have got a good shot this year of making the playoffs. Next up is the Oakland Raiders, who travel to Indianapolis to play the Colts. I think this is going to be my biggest bet of the early slate place anyway. It's Marlon Mack. He is 5-6 with Betfair, and that will be for 3 points for me. The Colts are a running team, and Mack is their main guy in regards to that. Losing Andrew Luck is a big, well, we all thought was a big problem for them. That's very well. He's more of a game manager than Luck is, so the Colts are riding Marlon Mack slightly. He's looked very good so far this season. Through 3 games, 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's nothing to kind of laugh about. It's something that the Colts fans should be very happy and impressed with, to be perfectly honest. He showed at the back end of last year that he was a good runner, and he's only continuing to show that so far through 3 weeks. I suspect the Colts will use Mack a lot in this game. They'll try and slow the game down. If you look last week against the Falcons only had, I think it was 7 possessions through the whole game, and one of those was a kneel down. So they only really had 6 scoring possessions. So the Colts will try and slow this game down using the run. And if they get inside the 10, they're going to be pounding the ball with Mack. So I think Marlon Mack is a great bet, 5-6, and that would be for 3 points. I wouldn't be surprised if he bags 2, but that's not going to be one of my bets. So yeah, Marlon Mack 5-6 bet fair for 3 points. Tennessee Titans travel to Atlanta to face the Falcons. My Falcons not having a great start to the season. Let's be honest, the Tennessee Titans haven't exactly looked much better either. One bet in this for me, and that's the Falcons tight end Austin Hooper at 2-1 with Betfair, and that'll be for 1 point. I'm a big Hooper fan. He's progressed every single year since he's been in the league and with the Falcons. He's having a good start to the season so far. He's had 22 targets, I think 19 receptions and a couple of touchdowns, which he had last week against the Colts. Dirk Cutter, the new offensive coordinator, loves to use a tight end. And we're seeing that with Hooper so far this year. He's an integral part of the offense. Matt Ryan trusts him. I think he's trusted him more now than he has over the last couple of seasons. And even with Julio, Sanu, Calvin Ridley, Austin Hooper is forming kind of a very good part of that offensive team. The Titans D is legit. It's the one side of one part of their team which is good, if I'm brutally honest. I don't see the Falcons putting up masses of points, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them put up minimum of 21 points. So yeah, Austin Hooper at 2-1 with Betfair for 1 point is my bet in this game. Right, now we move on to what I think is going to be a surprisingly high-scoring game. Washington Redskins travel to New York to face the New York Football Giants. I've got 2 bets in this, one for the Giants, one for the Skins. Let's start with the Washington Redskins bet, and that's Terry 2-1 with Uni 1.5 points. Terry McLaughlin, the rookie who's looked very impressive for them, has had a bit of a niggling injury this past week, so he's expected to play, which is good for the Skins. But I think kind of even with Terry McLaughlin on the field, Paul Richardson has a good shot, if I'm really honest. The last couple of weeks he's played very well. Last week was 9 targets, 8 receptions and a touchdown, and he's had 2 touchdowns in the last couple of weeks. Even for kind of this Redskins team everyone thought was going to be absolutely garbage, but with Case Keenum, but they're still putting up points. Even if Keenum is throwing 2 odd interceptions a game, the Skins offense is still finding a way to get points on the board. As I said earlier, this game could have a fair few points, seeing as both defenses are just utter garbage. Let's be brutally honest. Any Skins fan will admit that, and any Giants fan will admit that too. The Giants have allowed the second most yards to wide receivers this year. That's just under 800 yards. So they can be had deep. And as most Giants fans will know, Janoris Jenkins is shite. He's their main DB. They're also the 3rd worst team in the league, allowing touchdowns to wide receivers so far. They've allowed 6 touchdowns through 3 games. So yeah, I think this could. I think the Skins could put some points to the Giants and vice versa, if I'm brutally honest. The next bet is Darius Slayton, New York Giants wide receiver. He's 7-2 with Corals, and that will be for 1 point. I know I've mentioned about how the Giants are bad to wide receivers. The Washington Redskins are allowing a league high 8 touchdowns to wide receivers so far through 3 games. So and that's 2 more touchdowns than the Giants. So the Giants are bad. The Skins are even worse. Let's put it that way. Slayton's slowly emerging himself as a weapon for the Giants. He had 5 targets last week, and for me it's quite important because that was Daniel Jones' first start of the season. So 2 rookies getting off to a very good start. You've got Golden Tate, who will be back next week. So that could potentially, that will slow kind of Slayton's emergence down. But having Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard on the field as well should be able to take away the I don't want to say the better defensive backs for the linebackers for the Redskins, because they're not very good anyway. The best of the worst, let's put it that way. Compared to the price of Sterling Shepard or Evan Ingram, but both pretty much around evens. I've had a look at. I prefer taking a chance on a rookie wide receiver who's played well the last week, playing a hideous defense in the Skins. So 7-2 is for me. Is worth a punt, and we'll see how we go there. Right, I've got 3 more bets for the rest of these games so far, and I've noticed that I'm probably about 15-18 minutes in, so I'm going to run through all of these bets for the last 3 games I'm doing straight away in this clip here. So we'll start off with Seattle going to Arizona, and surprise, my bet in this game is a guy that I've been high on since he came into the league, and that's Will Dissly, the Seahawks tight end. He's 13-8 with Corals, and that'll be for 1.5 points. As I said, I've been a massive fan of him. 2 weeks ago, I had a bet on him at bigger odds than 13-8. I'm guessing it was nearest 7-2, 4-1, and it landed. So that was quite nice. He's becoming a go-to weapon for Russ Wilson. 12 targets, 11 catches, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. The Cardinals are dog shit awful, absolute dog shit awful against Titans this year. League worth 348 yards and 5 touchdowns through 3 games. That's tough. Ugh, yuck. So I think he's going to be a very popular bet for anyone who has a bet on the NFL and looks at this game. He's a very good tight end. Last year started off very well, got injured, was out for most of the year. A lot of people forgot about him, but he's kind of come back with the start of the season with a bit of a bang. Reports are he's going to be getting some more red zone targets too, which is nice. And with Nick Vannett being traded to the Steelers recently, I think that's a big positive for him, because I think they were pretty much sharing the snaps near on 50-50. So with no Vannett there, the Dissly should be able to see kind of an uptick in snaps. I know they've re-signed Luke Wilson, who left in the off-season recently and went to Detroit, I believe it was. But he's back. I don't see him being a massive threat to Dissly. So Dissly at 13-8 with Corals for 1.5 points is my bet for that game. Then let's move on to Tampa Bay at the LA Rams. The bet here is Cooper Kupp 6-5 with Bet365, 2 points. Cooper Kupp is Jared Goff's best friend on the turf. He's the guy he looks to. He's pretty much his first read every single time, to be brutally honest. 3 games, he had 31 receptions, 31 targets, 23 receptions and 2 touchdowns in 3 weeks, and the 2 touchdowns came last week. It seems his recovery from his ACL injury has gone rather well, and he is back to full health, which is good to see. The Bucs run D is good. it's looked very good so far this season. Just look at the stats and look at the players that have come up against them, and look what they've done running back wise. And it's not great. But for me, their pass is poor. I think that Jared Goff and the Rams are going to tear them up this week. I really, really do. I think this is a get right game for Goff, who's looked a bit sloppy this first 3 weeks, for brutally honest. If the Rams get near the goal line, Cup is going to be Goff's go-to guy. He's going to be his first read, the guy he looks for. So yeah, Cooper Cup at 6-5 with Bet365 for 2 points is my bet in that one. Bet is in the Dallas game, so Dallas travels to New Orleans. This should be a great game. Unfortunately, Drew Brees is out injured, so we're not going to see the Saints at their strongest. But my bet is Dak Prescott 14-5 with Unibet for 1.5 points. I was looking up the stats on this, and it's something that's passed me. But I didn't notice this, if I'm brutally honest. The Saints have allowed 4 rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks through 3 games so far this year. I don't think any other team have allowed more than 2, so I'm kind of going to go down that route. The Cowboys' offense has looked very good this year. Zeke will be getting back into full flow. So after obviously his 2 months in Cabo or wherever it was, Dak has scored a touchdown last week. So I'm kind of hoping that he follows up again this week against a team that's allowed 4 rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks through 3 weeks. So yeah, so that is my bets for this week. I might have a couple of others for the late game and maybe the Monday night game, but I won't probably put them on a video. I will probably just put them up on my Twitter feed. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, that was it. That was my first attempt to kind of a video. Saying all my bets that I'm placing this weekend on the NFL kind of anytime touchdowns. For anyone who's managed to kind of sit through the whole thing, thanks. That's pretty much all I want to say. It must have been as painful for you as it was for me to kind of do this and not feel like an absolute moron looking at a screen spouting whatever I'm thinking. It's quite easy doing it on a podcast because you've got other people doing it, but when you're doing it on your own, it's a little bit more challenging. Let me know what you think. To be honest, guys, if you like this idea, then let me know. If you hate it, do the same. I'm not kind of. I don't mind people saying, "Oh, it's horrible" or whatever. So don't feel like you've got to kind of go bite your tongue. So yeah, let me know. Also, bet responsibly. Don't bet what you can't afford. As I say, I work on a point system. Each point equates to a certain amount of money. So 1 point might be £1 to someone else, might be £2 to someone else, might be a tenner for other people. For people who have got a shitload of money, it might be 20 quid. But yeah, just bet responsibly, bet what you can, and don't feel like you have to bet on everything and anything. I look down in the middle of a week and I look at all the games and I say, right, okay, I like these players. Then I look into the stats and then I whistle them down. So yeah, if you've got any questions about anything, do let me know. My Twitter handle is at NFL Touchdown Bet. I had to kind of remember that, just totally forgot it. I had to look at it on my phone. So yeah, feedback, send me a message or send me a tweet or whatever, and you'll find the link to my blog on there as well. I will chuck all these bets up on the blog just to keep it going on there as well, so people can still see them. Also, I will keep the spreadsheet updated. It will include last year's, which was a nice healthy profit of the year. So, and I believe, I can't off the top of my head, I think I'm in a bit of profit so far this year. It's been a little bit slower, but you don't win loads of money every single week. It's one of these slow grinding games that you do, and anyone who bets on this or whatever it is knows that. So you can't can't win every single week. You win some, you lose some. But yeah, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and I hope the sound on this hasn't been awful and the picture quality hasn't been awful. But yeah, give me a break. It's my first attempt, so might be my last. Who knows? I will maybe see you again next week. Who knows? Thanks, guys.